Over the last few weeks, I've told you about the impending rise in property taxes here in Colorado, how we got into this mess, the policy solutions that have been offered to fix it, and why each falls short. But look, solving problems isn't nearly as interesting as criticizing politicians. The thing is I promised you in the first video in this series that if you followed me, you'd learn what we can do to fix the problem, and I need to make good on that promise. So let's make a deal. Over the next few minutes, I will try my best to explain the policy solution we need without totally geeking out on policy. And if you stick around, you'll learn what needs to be done so that together we can hold policymakers accountable moving forward. Property taxes are an unfortunate part of life in any state. Homeowners and renters both pay them, whether directly or indirectly. And I think most of us have no problem with contributing to the essential local services we all use. But nobody is okay with limitless growth in the amount of money government takes from them each year. And nobody wants to see their own property tax bill go up 30 or 40% from one year to the next. Yet that is the exact situation Coloradans find themselves in right now. So the question is, how can we protect homeowners and renters from the situation we're in now, where property tax bills skyrocket simply because home values went up a lot over a short period of time? I think we should allow local revenues to rise with inflation and population growth, but any increase beyond that should only happen if voters approve it. This goes back to a fundamental question I raised in a previous video. Why should your local government get 40% more revenue from one year to the next just because home values went up by 40%? My answer? It shouldn't. By controlling the growth in local tax revenue, we can ensure homeowners and renters are protected while also ensuring that local governments get the funding they need for essential services. Here's how the policy would work. If an increase in home values causes a local district to get a huge boost in tax revenue, the district would have to lower its mill levy to stay within the limit, which equals tax revenue from the previous year on existing homes plus inflation. New construction would be subject to the same mill levy as all other homes, but the revenue collected on new homes wouldn't count towards the revenue limit that first year. They would count towards the revenue limit in future years. Now, since I probably just completely broke my promise not to be a policy geek, here's what that means. The first part of the policy ensures that local funding keeps up with inflation. The second part ensures local funding keeps up with population growth. On the homeowner and renter side of things, this policy would limit the growth in your property tax burden in a way that's fair for you and your neighbors. So if your home's value went up by a lot more than the house across town, your property taxes would go up more, but never by more than a few percentage points each year. The policy also makes sense for local government. Inflation's been really high recently. My expenses, your expenses, I'm sure have gone up a lot in this inflationary environment. So have the expenses of your local government. This policy would allow schools and fire departments, etc., to collect more tax revenue to keep up with inflation. And also, local governments tend to need to spend more as more people move to the local area. So this policy would allow their funding to increase by more than just inflation if more people are moving to the area. Unfortunately, this exact policy solution hasn't been proposed. Initiative 21, which I talked about in the last video, comes closest to the policy I'm suggesting. By the way, I said in the last video that Initiative 21 wouldn't take effect until 2024. I was wrong. If voters adopt it, it would take effect in 2023, which means it would protect us from this impending crisis we face. Now, if you remember, Initiative 21 would limit the growth in revenue to 3% per year. That's a viable alternative to what I'm suggesting and accomplishes basically the same thing. The one problem I do have with Initiative 21 is that in order to meet that 3% cap, the initiative allows for an adjustment of either the state assessment rate or local mill levies. That's not ideal. See, assessment rates are set at the state level, mills are set locally. We need to address this problem locally by adjusting mills because across the state, local tax revenues and home values can vary quite a lot. Fortunately, that's a problem that can be addressed in rulemaking after voters adopt the measure. Right now, Initiative 21 is the one option that brings hope to Colorado homeowners and renters. With the policy I'm suggesting, unlike the pseudo fixes we've gotten from the legislature, Colorado homeowners and renters would see real property tax relief. And local governments would continue to see increases in revenue each year as inflation rises and as our population grows. If local governments feel they need a larger revenue increase than that, they can always ask voters to approve a tax increase. This is fair. It ensures we continue to fund essential services like schools and fire departments, and it protects homeowners and renters. This video brings you up to date on the property tax debate here in Colorado, but the issue's still evolving. Rumor has it that Governor Polis and the legislature have a last-minute deal brewing that could be introduced and passed before the end of this year's legislative session on May 6th. I will keep you updated right here on IITV. If you want to get notified when that video comes out, hit the subscribe button below. And as you watch and learn from these videos, I want you to remember this. If knowledge is power, then ignorance is servitude. Let YouTube know you like this video and want to see more so that I can bring not only you, but other Coloradans more empowering knowledge like this.